recording now finally, so I'm not making that mistake twice. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Very good.
We got Nick here.
Thanks,
First
Jeff.
time. You're a first time guy here.
Yes, sir.
First time, long time.
Yeah.
And I've got to pronounce your name correctly one of these days.
Mine?
Yes.
Zhan.
Zhan. I always want to say Zhan, not Zhan.
Hey, I'll respond to anything as long as it's close.
Yeah. When I used to work for RVD, my last name is Vela, but he always calls me Tony Vila. And so one thing
Like
about
Bob Vila?
yeah, well, Vila, exactly. But so what he would always, but that's the thing that Rob would always do is that when he knew your name, he addresses everybody in his life by first and last name.
Wow.
Everybody. So he never forgets your full name.
Interesting.
So I wish I was that committed to it like that. But so I think today we're doing a roundtable talk about women's wrestling cards.
We are, which was your idea, I believe.
I guess so. Which was probably recommended by somebody else, but I have a list of things in an email draft of just to talk about, and I don't think I've gone to it in about a month. So this was something, I guess, new. I think we're going to be Paul and Chuckster and I would like to get someone else are going to be talking about only indie cards next one.
Yep.
Because it's such a huge market for indie stuff right now. But
Yep.
But today we're discussing, women in wrestling and their trading cards, which seems to hold a lot of high value these days. You say?
Yeah, it's interesting. I went through some of the sales numbers in the past few months, and I've got some numbers for you. But Nick, if you want to go ahead and say whatever you've got to say.
Yeah.
No, it's women specifically, they just sell higher than any other card. I don't know why. It's just they're more popular.
Is that always the case with every release that the women's cards will sell more than men's cards? I think there's some few exceptions though, right?
I feel like they do majority of the time sell more than the men.
From what I've seen, there's maybe just very, very few exceptions. It's usually the women always outselling the men as far as modern goes.
Even like like the Vince McMahon autograph or an Undertaker autograph of any kind? Are those exceptions to the rules?
From what I've seen, the women one-on-ones are right there with them.
Really? Wow. I mean, I haven't kept up on the current product, so I don't know a lot of the stuff that's going on with them. But I remembered even when I was buying and selling and collecting for myself at the time, I mean, all the Fleer products, that shit would always sell higher than guy stuff. Always 100%. At the time, I believe at the time I did sell the most expensive wrestling card at the time in 2004, early 2005, maybe, with the Divine Diva set. I pulled a 5 of 5 Trish autograph swatch card that I sold for $1,600 at the time.
Nice.
On eBay.
Yeah, that's nice. Even for now.
And then that oddball Ric Flair WCW autograph card, that one that showed up out of nowhere, sold for $2,000.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do some of the women cards today sell at that level?
Yeah, and more from what I've seen. Yeah. I've got some numbers, but Nick, if you want to go ahead, if you have more details and thoughts on that.
No, I don't. I just know that they're more popular than the men's. That's how it is.
Now, Nick, you're a hardcore collector, especially with do you still collect a lot of the current top stuff?
I tried to. There was a new NXT Tops Now set that just came out today from the pay-per-view yesterday, and
did it actually come out?
Yeah, my latest buy.
Isn't it like 3 months past due though?
No, they just happened that show yesterday.
I know, but wasn't it originally scheduled to be released earlier in this year and it got pushed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay, because there's two more. There's like 2 more sets coming out next week, isn't there? Supposedly.
Probably Tops on their own, but this is the specific Tops Now brand.
Gotcha. So with your current collection that you collect, because I know that I don't collect the current stuff, but do you go after high-end cards at all? Do you go after chase cards? Do you just keep what you get when you pull from a pack, or do you only just go out?
Whatever I get is what I get. And then if I come across it later on, if I have an extra $1 or $2, I'll put it out. But no, whatever I get is what I get.
Have you been lucky in any pack pulls lately in the last few years?
Not really. No. I know best one I've got was 2015. A couple kiss cards from the Divas. In fact, I got them right here.
Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Those are nice. Like, do those hold like a good value? Like right now, they're holding good high value.
I assume so. They're kiss cards. I haven't checked the prices on them lately.
I've been, cause I've looked at stuff like, let me pull some stuff up. I'm getting better at this sharing stuff here, so bear with me.
I don't even think these ones are numbered.
Like something like this probably holds a high value, right?
Yeah, that's autographed as well. Yeah, definitely.
Like, you have any numbers and stuff like this?
Not specifically, but like I've got a whole bunch of numbers and it's kind of just varying. So I don't know when you want to jump into that in relation to.
Yeah, let's just jump right in. Let's just jump right into talking about some pricing here.
Okay, so what I did is just typed in wrestling cards, not even women's wrestling cards, and I sorted eBay comps by highest price sold within like the last 3-4 months, maybe. That's pretty recent. The first one I came to, the most expensive, is the WCW Miss Elizabeth autos.
Interesting.
And there was two or three of those that sold for right around $1,500 a piece.
Holy shit.
And then from that on, you're looking at right around $1,200 to $1,400 for several of the modern Transcendent one-of-one autos. So, Charlotte, Lita. I didn't see any Becky ones in there, which I was kind of surprised of. And so that's right around the $1,500. And then if you go below that, there was some lower end Transcendents that were one-of-one or numbered to like 10 or 25 or something, right around the $1,000 mark. And then the highest one I saw from just a like base perspective was the Ronda Rousey 2018 rookie auto, and I think that was like $700. So all of the Ronda stuff's like really holding value really well. And then when I went even further down, I was still kind of shocked at some of these. I found a 2019 Mandy Rose auto to $199, $25. That's still pretty good value for, because you can't even sell. I don't even see half of the modern tops. And Nick, you could probably speak more to this, but when I just look at sales, I don't see hardly any modern tops unless it's women's cards, whether it's a Kiss card, a one-on-one, a numbered, all that stuff sells. Everything else mixed in there is the Rock rookies, the Wrestling All-Stars cards, Hogan rookies, stuff like that. And then, I guess some of the modern men, if you want to call them modern, you'll see Steve Austin, Vince McMahon, sure. Triple H, stuff like that thrown in there. But like there was a Sasha Kiss card numbered to $99, $161. And I don't even think that was signed. I think it was just the base Kiss card that was numbered. So kind of all over there was a, let's see, what did I have here? There's a relic, another just basic relic. I think it was Alexa Bliss. There's just a base relic that was numbered. No auto, no Kiss card, no nothing. And it was like $150. I think it was a 2017 NXT, if I'm remembering right. But just looking at some of these numbers, they're all over the place. But then if you look at some of the women's rookies, they're only like 99 cents.
Yeah, that's amazing to me.
So, yeah, it's so once again, I mean, it's the same thing that I'm saying a lot of times in any like sports cards, non-sports cards, whatever. Autos are always solid, limited numbers, and parallels. I know we've talked a lot about parallels on here, and a lot of people hate them, but that's what drives the value. So I know it's annoying for collectors, but specifically with these cards, that's what's driving a lot of the high-end women's cards.
Well, especially those who have favorites who are only collecting Trish or only collecting Alexa Bliss or only something like that. They're going to go after some of those. I had a thought for a second there. It's like, so that's amazing to me that that like rookie cards, as our first appearance, first cards, that they don't hold value like even that 2002 Royal Rumble slot, that's a great rookie class. You want to call it that, of Orton and Cena and Batista. Like a Lita card or a Trish Stratus card wouldn't hold that kind of value. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're getting it in like a PSA 10 high grade, and even then, like I guarantee you, some of these numbers I listed are going to go for way more than those. Which I'm with you. It's interesting how the dynamics of all the collectors and what they want is changing.
So it's almost like you can consider their autographs, swatch cards, whatever, and Kiss cards. Those are the high-end chase ones. Those were going to hold way more value than a woman's rookie card, where it's almost the opposite for the men.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. And another thing that, and again, if Nick's more of a modern collector, he could probably speak to this. I'm interested to see where modern cards fall in 20, 30 years from now, because we look at the stuff that is really high-end now from 20, 30 years ago, and it's it's limited in the fact that there wasn't a ton of them printed. Even like the Rock rookie that's on fire right now out of the trivia game.
I like how we have to use this
now. Yeah. We don't know how many of those were printed. With some of the modern limited stuff, that stuff's going to hold value, I believe. But like, look at the base 85 Hogan rookie from, that thing's on fire right now. So look at some of the modern.
It took a while for it to catch on fire.
Yeah, and I mean, there's tons of those. So if you want to compare that to like the Jordan rookies, sure, there's tons, but people all want them.
Correct.
What is going to be the demand for modern? Like, I personally don't know as many people watching modern wrestling, and if they do, a lot of them are more into like action figures or, again, the limited runs of cards.
Correct.
Not so much base rookie cards, which is really interesting. I mean, if I buy collections and I'm piecing them out, whether it's on checkoutmycards.com, ComC, or if I've got them on my eBay store and I'm just trying to sell them individually, shipping them plain white envelope, 99 cents, I can't sell like a lot of the superstars. I have a hard time selling. So it's really interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I wonder, will a Roman Reigns or something like that, or a Dean Ambrose or something, 20 years from now, are those their first appearance cards, which I guess would be the FCW cards, like that?
Yeah, the FCW set's a whole different ballgame now. I think those will hold value for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, they've gone up a ton. But like anything else that came out from the top stuff, like guys who only showed up in tops, I mean, are they going to hold value?
Again, going back to the women, like even
Charlotte or
base cards like the NXT Chrome. I don't remember what year it was out of, but I've sold a Bayley and a Sasha Banks, just base chrome, not a refractor, not numbered, not nothing. Those will still sell for $20-$30 right now. So here we are talking about women's wrestling. I think those are the cards of modern day that are going to hold value.
So you think Becky Lynch's, Bayley's, what about Sasha Banks? You think that's going to hold value?
Yep, yeah, for sure.
Charlotte?
Yeah, for sure.
But outside the four, horsewomen, anybody else probably, you think?
The Bellas alone.
The Bellas?
Yeah.
Yes, and the TV show helps with them. That's another thing, like trying to target a lot of that's the way I do with a lot of the classic stuff. So like I'm constantly looking at Hogan, Rock, Steve Austin. What do? They're the biggest draws in wrestling. They're on the top of the game in entertainment. They've been in all these movies. They've been in commercials. They're the ones that are going to draw. Bellas is a great example of that, like you said.
And then now you got Ronda Rousey, who has cross appeal too from two different sports, really.
Exactly.
That's always going to be. So even stuff like from, the older women, stuff like that, outside of being graded, do you think any of the women from the All-Star set are going to hold any value?
In my opinion, only people who are doing complete sets like David Peck or people who want to follow in his footsteps. I think those are all great cards. I have all of those. But if you go to look them up individually, and kind of taking a side note, I think even in that set, like I am a huge Matt Bourne fan, and I know everybody knows him from Doink the Clown, but that's not really a sought after card, but yet he was a huge draw for the time. So I think these get even farther pushed down the rank. I mean, maybe they're too cheap right now, so it's a good investment opportunity, but these won't hold value even like the modern women's cards do.
Not, unless you're getting these graded with high grades, right? And still
correct.
It still won't get that kind of dollar value, though. I mean, you can take a raw, signed Kiss card from today, so it's going to get more if you got a 9 on the Fabulous Moolah.
I agree.
Would it not?
Yeah, I agree.
That just seems ridiculous to me. Like that's some classic stuff right there. Again, it's just weird how men's cards from the older stuff will outsell the women's cards. But it's just so weird. I find that dynamic so odd. I mean, it's not surprising when you see, especially your price list. A lot of that was transcendent stuff. That's all a high-end product as it is.
Right.
But I'm looking at stuff like, whatever the cheaper product versions like that. If you pull something good out of that, is that going to hold value too?
Like I said,
what is the cheaper stuff now? What, Topps Now or Topps Road to WrestleMania or something like that? I mean, what's the cheaper?
You want, like, my opinion, I'll let Nick speak in just 1 second. I can't keep up with it.
Neither can I.
I only keep up with the super high-end stuff, and I don't even buy it unless I'm buying singles. But I look at that stuff, but the base stuff, there's like 50 sets a year, and that's the whole problem. That's why it's not going to hold value. But Nick, go ahead.
And because there's so much being produced, I can honestly say the last thing I collected was a Topps 2018 set. I haven't gotten a chance to do 2019 or 20. I'm more focused on the indie cards that are coming out now, trying to catch up on those. And I've recently just bought a huge lot of All-Stars off eBay. So I'm working on my earlier sets also.
Ah, you would know about that. You keep track of that kind of stuff, don't you, for the All-Stars on eBay?
Yeah.
I think David Peck does too.
Yeah, he does.
So those guys probably knew, like, yeah, we know that guy. Nick probably bought it. They probably know your handle and everything. So those guys seem to be all over that crap. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, if anything it's even worth even investing in, and even some of the old, like, Miss Elizabeth cards and things like that. So when you start going to like the 80s and you have stuff like, anything from this era like that, like none of this stuff would hold any value, it seems like.
Not unless it's for like collectors of like that 85 All-Star set.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like that set better than the other two All-Star set because for me that has more people in it, for more organizations in the 80s and the territories and stuff like Memphis and stuff. And like, I love those sets, but if you're not, there's so many modern wrestling fans that don't want to look at the past. They don't want to go back and do their homework on old territories. They just want to look at whatever's being thrown at them on social media and modern wrestling. These are never going to hold value to those people, even though they're more limited, more sought after. And a lot of people with
guys
this
like
stuff,
yourself and myself and the David Packs,
yeah.
And we're into that kind of stuff. So
exactly.
So we're always in the hunt for that kind of stuff. Well, you guys more than me. I'm just back in the game recently. So. I'm trying so hard. There's nothing around here for me to even find. Well, you're in Arizona with me, Nick.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, you're in the Phoenix area like I am.
Yeah.
And there's nothing around here to go. I mean, I found a sports shop over here next to me called 3D Sports and Collectibles over here. It's off of the 17 and 35th and Bell. And they have some wrestling cards, but the oldest that he has is like an 01 Ultimate Diva collection. So he's got a hobby box that he wants $125 for.
Really?
Wow.
And I go, I went to the guy. His name is Daryl. Really nice guy. I have my first booking appearance I got there. I've got Chavo Guerrero coming in on December 12th. But I said, you realize that this box, I mean, somebody bought that. It's kind of worthless to them. All that good stuff was redemption.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing really good in it. You can't pull anything great.
I think they're just trying to cash in on all the breakers and people that are just trying to scoop up any kind of wax they can to open right now.
And it's just unfortunate, but these guys, they kind of don't know really what's in it, I guess. I don't know. He's definitely a sports guy who's just kind of tailors to that, but is also a wrestling fan. So he carries some wrestling, but he only has like the 2018, 19, and 20 stuff.
Yeah.
So I had no interest in buying like boxes of that stuff at all.
You know, another thing too that I've noticed is I bought a collection not too long ago, and this is just more of a modern discussion, not as much about the women, but I bought a collection from a guy who just wanted to get rid of stuff. And I was able to put together a couple of subsets of like WrestleMania roster cards or like the 2019. I was able to put together almost the entire set of the WrestleMania cards from that specific set. It's still sitting on eBay with like no interest, and I don't have it priced crazy. And it's just like nobody wants these things unless it's what we've already talked about that's bringing high dollar. It's just, I don't know. Like in the sports world, people are still going crazy for base cards, and Panini owns everything. So they're like Topps. So Panini's putting out all these different sets under their banner. Well, so is Topps, but yet wrestling isn't catching on like sports is. I don't know. It's weird.
So mass produced that everyone has it.
Yeah,
this is true. Well, with women in the indie scenes like that, can go to you, Nick, then, because you're an indie scene kind of collector guy. Some of these women who are popular now appear in some of those indie card sets like that. Like anybody in particular you can think of that's worth going after from certain sets?
Not that I can think of offhand.
I mean, like that FCW set's pretty damn good, is it not?
Yeah.
I mean, who's in that set, like women-wise?
You're putting me on the spot here.
I think AJ Lee.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've seen that set, but I can just remember like the Seth Rollins and the Bray Wyatt cards are the ones that stand out for me. But even those, like, they're not selling for as much as you would think. Like, if you want to kind of put them in context with, say, the Hogan rookie, I know we're talking two totally different stars, but
sure.
They're kind of indie sets, both of them. It's their kind of first appearance cards. They're both huge stars at the top of the company at one point, but the value is just not there. It's interesting.
When did that set come out for FCW, by the way? Oh, I already got it. It came out in 2012. So in that set, you have Kaylee Turner.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Paige? Someone posted a picture of Paige recently, I thought.
Raquel Diaz was in that too. I thought AJ Lee was in one of those. Summer Rae's in one of the sets in the 2012 set. Yeah, Paige is in that. Paige is in that set as well.
She, if anything, would be pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I maybe I'm way out of touch, man. I just don't get the the allure there. That's just me. And then there's actually a 2011 set that came out, which starts off with got AJ Lee in that set. Now I remember because I knew that was in that one because I actually had that card. I bought it in a lot back in that time. I was buying some raw deal cards and it happened to be in that lot, like some rare thing. And I think I sold it for $100 at the time. And that was back in 2011.
That's not bad.
She's like the only woman in that set, I think. No, what's her name? Oksana?
Oksana, I just saw that. Yeah.
And I can't think of anybody else. I'm looking at nobody. That's it. Oh no, Raquel Diaz is in that one again too.
I know Chuckster posted something recently, and yeah, he's got those cards.
Yeah, and those are. I mean, that set's really hard to find like that. But there's a lot of cool cards in the indie scene, I think. But there are a lot of a no-name people. Like I think what's her name? Larue, Candace.
Candace LeRae.
Yeah, she's in a few sets as well. Like a local SoCal company called AWS. She used to wrestle for them all the time, and they put out a card set. I think she's featured in that. I think I use that card as a matter of fact to do the birthday pop on her. It's like that a couple days ago. But I just can't believe that modern women's stuff. Well, I guess I can believe it, but it's such a shame that the old stuff is not recognized and appreciated.
I feel the same way about men's wrestling, though. I don't like. I get more excited about looking at, the Fabs or Road Warriors or some of the NWA Wonderama stuff than I do any of the modern stuff. I mean, I try to keep up with wrestling, but I just like old wrestling better. And that's just me. But I still look at all the modern stuff, and there's super cool stuff out there. But again, coming from sports card, I'm right in the middle of sports cards and wrestling cards. And I see things in sports cards that I'm like, why is this not happening in wrestling? Why is this not happening in boxing or UFC even? Like, it's just a weird paradigm.
But you have to admit, though, I think that wrestling cards today, whether it be driven by women's, nostalgia, having women's cards for modern stuff is doing it or not. But still, wrestling cards as a whole is up where it was. It's up higher now than it was 5 years ago, even a year ago.
I agree. Yeah, and fingers crossed. Maybe it's bringing some children, little girls that have inspiration that love watching these women wrestle because they're actually wrestling now and they're actually athletes, not like they were in the early 2000s or Attitude Era. And maybe it's starting to get them into the hobby, which will then lead to who knows what else. So that's what I'm interested to see. Like 20 years from now, do the children now that are they into those cards? Are they going to be sought after then? Because that's what they collected when they were a kid, like what we're talking about now with like The Rock or Orton or whatever,
Well, as someone who's, you're a half seller, half investor yourself.
Yeah.
Would you recommend anybody like investing in particular women's wrestling cards for something that might increase in 20, 30 years? Like, what would you recommend?
All of that, anything KISS cards, numbered. Not so much just the base relic cards. Those are still hard to get rid of, $1 or $2 a piece. They just don't sell well. So KISS cards, autographs, anything transcendent that's limited, any kind of foil stamped numbers that we've talked about, anything under like 200. Of the big five that we've talked about, Ronda, Charlotte, Becky, Bayley sells pretty well. Who am I missing? Bella Twins. Did I already say Charlotte?
Yep. You basically got the four horsewomen, and then
those
and then
those are solid, I think, especially on the limited number. Yeah, I'd pick those up.
Would you even pick up, because you said you can't even get them for 99 cents, sell them for 99 cents? Would you pick up like their first appearance cards and tops and stuff like that?
If you could narrow it down, sure, and especially if you like to collect. I mean, I don't collect as much. Like I collect, but like I've said on my videos on my YouTube channel, on this channel, Like I've somehow become this Road Warriors collector. Like I just keep getting all these Road Warriors cards, and I was like, okay, well I'm just going to start buying all of them. So if you're a collector like that, sure, but I don't know. But then the other hard part is really nailing down. See, I'd rather skip all of that and go buy these FCW cards that we talked about as a first appearance card, because, or an indie set or whatever. Topps has just made it so difficult to narrow down which, and we talked about this on the rookie card episode, which card is the first card. I mean, you can do the research and find it out, but it's so difficult.
So they make it really hard today to, well, they seem to be doing it more in sports. Like they're really driving up their values in sports. And I think box prices alone are causing that as well. There's a big debate I've seen on Twitter right now. There's a couple of guys on there. Like I do want to do an episode about grading versus non-grading, because there's a guy that I follow on Twitter who is absolutely anti-grading. Like just, he cannot stand the grading process and thinks it's a joke, basically.
Yeah.
And that's just my interpretation of how he posts like that. You know, I'm not saying it to belittle him by any means. He has his reasons, I'm sure, but I'd love to have him and maybe you and David on together as well to talk about, you know, the pros and cons, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle, so I'd love to have that opportunity.
And I'm someone who's never done grading, who's now looking to get into grading, but how do I go about getting into grading? And, you know, I have questions, you know, declared values and all this. I mean, all these different things like that. I'm not sure how to do it, you know. And I've got a stack sitting right here waiting for one day to get to it. But I don't know. I think that some of the women wrestlers should be recognized. Like I would love to get a Miss Elizabeth rookie card would be kind of cool, you know, if you want to call it that, you know, first appearance. That should hold some value.
And here's the other thing about that is some of those, if that's who you like, that's who you like. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I'll just use the Road Warriors example again. I have some. Let's see. I got the 91 Merlin set that everybody wants the Undertaker. Okay, I have one of those cards. It's probably not worth that much, but I love it in a graded slab, and it's not going to go down. Like it was so cheap so if you wanted to take a shot on some of these modern women cards, they're not going to go down. They're as low as they're going to get. So it is a buying opportunity. And especially if you like them, you know, buy what you like, regardless of the value. And then if it's at the bottom of the barrel, you got nothing to lose. It can only go up. And you're talking about the Miss Elizabeth card again, like any 80s stuff. I don't see it going down. Even though it was the junk wax for sports, that was prime time for wrestling because stuff wasn't overprinted like it is now.
Or I still think that 90 Classic was equally overly printed. I mean,
there's tons. The Impel 91 Impel WCW, and then that Classic.
And there's also that championship marketing set too. I mean, Impel more than anything else, but I think they're still printing that. But it's been going on forever. That's what I used to say about NBA hoops, man. That stuff they're still printing that stuff, man.
Yeah,
stuff was everywhere. I just the women's stuff, it just seems to be kind of unique. I mean, I have a couple other examples of some of the women's cards. We did show the 80s ones, right? With we didn't show 90s, did we? We haven't yet.
No, we did not.
We have some cool ones from that then. So kids, here we should be going out looking for some cool stuff. I mean, it's a 90s card of someone pre-90s on that far.
You know what though? That Legends set, the black or the white and blue one, that actually fetches quite a bit of money, surprisingly.
And plus if you have the deluxe version that has the autographs, which holds some good value.
That Missy Hyatt card's classic.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yep.
Somebody just posted up on Twitter too. There was a Missy Hyatt ECW card because I'm having a bitch of a time trying to find.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah, go look at my Twitter feeds. I retweeted, I think. Someone posted I'm sorry, not on my Twitter, on the Facebook page. When I had asked if anybody had any interest in talking about ECW cards, someone posted a Missy Hyatt ECW card that I'd never seen before.
Interesting.
Even Chuckster goes, I've never seen this before. Where can I get it?
Well, if he hasn't seen it, it's. Yeah.
So it's some pretty cool stuff. Trying to figure out what else I've got here for our wonderful presentation. Well, then we get in the 2000s, and again, I think that's where the values really start dropping big time on just common cards, just common base cards. But then you have like this is an indie one right here in the middle. Oh, and then the other one too is a magazine card from Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. The women's Japanese cards still sell pretty well from what I've seen.
Excellent point. I forgot about those. I should have had some of those for the slide. I actually had a I think 58 packs when Stardom, I think it was,
Hmm.
came through Southern California, and they left some packs behind at the wrestling guy store. And then the wrestling guy store gets said, I don't want to take them. And so I took them, I opened them all. I must have hit an autograph in almost every single pack, I think. And I pulled like, what's her name now? Carrie Sane, but she was Carrie Soto or something like that. And I had a dual autograph of her and somebody else. And someone offered me, I'll give you $150 for that. I go, sure, you can have it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But I still have a few autographs left over from that. But you're right; those cards sell for good premium price. Even basic cards go for good price.
Yeah, and that's another exception of the, we were talking about the mid 90s, early 90s, and then the close to 2000s. If you get the Japanese women's cards, they're out of that era. The prices are really high on them. So interesting dynamic. I think it's a cultural difference too.
I think so too. And well, from there they mass produce them, but over here we don't get them readily easily. So
Right.
people who are wrestling card collectors are looking for that stuff.
Right.
So I think I'm going to invest. I personally think I'm going to start kind of doing my homework and invest in some of these. Like you said, these you can't even get some for $1, kind of cards like that. I mean, like you said, you have nothing but an upside on that.
Yeah.
I mean, 20, 30 years from now, I mean, if I'm still living, I'll be 80. I'll be 80 in 30 years. I mean, I'll pass it on to my son. I don't know. Maybe he'll like want to sell it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, where do you think women's cards have to go forward now? I mean, because it seems like they're a little bit different than men's cards because you still have ring mat cards. That's both. You still
Yeah.
have, autograph cards. That's both. You still have, swatch cards. That's both. But you have kiss cards only for women, not men. Unless you're Dustin Rhodes. I think Dustin Rhodes did one once, a kiss card. I mean, where do they go from there as far as women's cards? Like, what would be appealing and interesting?
They even
Now,
have their set from Tops. The women's
they have
division.
what?
They even have their own set women's division from Tops.
Correct.
Yeah, and that I've got a sealed box, like just a $20 blaster box that I bought on clearance at Walmart months ago for like $6 or something. And I looked just today, just kind of perusing on eBay. It's like a $30 box now. So there's interest. It's just trying to pinpoint it,
Yeah, it just seems the women's is harder than the men's one for some reason. But I'm just kind of curious on like what kind of next level they can take the women's cards, since they seem to have a little bit more in the variety of chase than the men's side does.
I think it depends. Nick, you obviously collect and you buy modern stuff. What would you like to see? Because I think me and you would have totally different perspectives on what we'd like to see.
I really can't say. I mean, I really love those Kiss cards, and they're hard to come by unless you want to pay top dollar for them. But I can't say really.
I think that a way to kind of, I'm taking it from, because when I was selling wrestling cards hardcore, the same demographic also bought porn cards. So I sold a lot of adult cards. There was a company out of Canada called Triple X Trading Cards that had a licensing rights with Wicked Pictures. So they put out 2 releases. I sold a shit ton of those. But then I was the first guy in the lower 48 states that started carrying a card called Juicy Honey out of Japan. And they had stuff called DNA cards.
Oh boy.
Where they had like piece of hair, not going to say where, they had a piece of hair card that was embedded in the card, which isn't from that where the hair came from is unique, but it's not a unique thing in the non-sport world, because they had like, there was an Elvis Presley card that they got put out where they had a piece of Elvis's hair embedded in a card. I think there was a Marilyn Monroe set that too had that, or might have had her jewelry, not the hair. But they've done that before in non-sports, but I wonder if they would ever do that in wrestling for women's stuff.
I think Topps has just gotten lazy because they own the rights to all the WWE cards, and until that changes, I know this is kind of off subject totally. It's like Madden. I don't know if you guys have played Madden in the past, but at some point Topps EA owns the rights to that, and they get lazy and they just keep putting out the same game every year with a roster update. I kind of feel that's what Topps is doing with their WWE sets.
That's a really good analogy too. I think that the EA Sports is using the same engine every single time and just update the rosters. All they do, like there's nothing really new added to it. I mean, that's true, and I think that's what Topps is doing. They put out, when I found out, started doing these things, these little podcast things, I wasn't into collecting, and then talking to guys like you and various people, I didn't realize how many different sets they put out per year. Like, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It blows my mind. Like, how can you keep up with all that? Like, I don't understand how, Chuckster and Paul, or even you, Nick, how you keep up with that kind of stuff. Like, even from a base set standpoint.
Yeah, no, I don't. Again, like the last one I collected was 2018. I just can't keep up.
Do you think they're pricing everybody, like just pushing everybody out? I mean, how are they attracting people to collect? Like, what would make you want to collect again, Nick? Because now you've taken your love of collecting wrestling cards and pushed it over to the indie side, because it's a little more unique, a little harder to come by, a little bit better of a thrill of the chase. It's not going to break your wallet.
Designs of cards, different people. I mean, I think Topps is coming out with the finest set, so I might go ahead and chase that one because it's a new set overall.
Oh
yeah, and it looks really good too.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen anything on it, but I did hear about them doing a finest set, which I couldn't believe they hadn't done one yet, because the last finest set that I ever collected was like a Star Wars finest back in the day.
Price range.
Well, yeah, I mean, anybody got 15 grand laying around to buy a set? I mean, is that what it costs, right?
For
Transcendent?
roundabout, yeah.
Is it like 15 grand to buy it's a box, right? That
It's a box. Yeah, it's not even a set, and there's only so many cards in the box. But that's, again, going back to the sports card world, there's boxes for 5 times that. They only have like 2 cards in them. So the thing is, people are spending more money, but they're getting better value per se in the card, because they're not just getting bombarded with a bunch of base stuff. Because for a lot of people I see, I don't know a lot of set collectors anymore. I think there would be if you didn't put as many sets out. So, like, let's say they had finest for kind of the middle road. Let's say they had a base set, kind of like the 87 Topps. That was a cool set. And then say they had Transcendent. You'd be kind of taking care of everybody all in one shot. You would put more value in your sets, and you probably have set collectors. Plus, you could have all the numbered and serial parallels, all that stuff.
Okay, I remember doing that in sports. When I had a booth at a place in California called Frankenstein Collectibles, I was the only wrestling guy there who sold cards. I mean, wrestling cards and porn. Now the truth is out. All the guys around me all sold sports cards. So every Wednesday and every Saturday, I'd see guys across the aisle just buying it. The same guys, same 5-6 guys, literally every Saturday drop, $1,000, $2,000 buying box and just open packs. And I'm like, holy crap. And they're like buying packs that only had 1 card in it for $300, 1 card in it, looking for like a LeBron autograph or something like that, whatever the hell it was that in that release. I just couldn't understand that. And I guess now Topps is doing that for wrestling, where they're kind of making a high end thing. And I like the idea of making a low end, middle end, and a high end, so you can kind of cross everything, because I think they're really devaluing themselves by having so many releases.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing, I was just at the store today. I actually picked up a bunch of 2018 packs that were on clearance for like $2 a piece, and I'll probably just flip them on eBay, because the whole thing with Topps is people are going to continue to buy the product because it's the only mainstream wrestling you're going to find in the store. And even sports guys are like, that it's an addiction. They can't find football, they can't find basketball. Let's buy wrestling just so we can get that.
I got to open something.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, maybe at some point, does that drive them to start watching wrestling? And then maybe those base cards go up. I don't know. It's weird.
And that's where the women wrestling comes in, because if guys don't care about wrestling, I don't watch a bunch of Speedo guys, wrestling.
Exactly.
But Alexa Bliss, she's pretty fucking hot. I'm gonna check her out.
There you go.
Mean, they may want to watch it. Who knows?
Yep.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So I mean, I go to Target on the street every once in a while to get some quick things, and I always now check their card section. And they restocked recently, no wrestling. They restocked yesterday, and they had some whatever footballs, white and red packaging type of thing for football. And they had one box left. That wasn't a hobby, but 1 box left for like $40. I'm like, I'm jonesing to open something. Do I want to buy it? I'm like, nah. I talked myself out of it. I did talk myself out of it. I just can't see buying something. If I'm going to buy wrestling, a pack of cards, it's going to be wrestling. I don't care.
Yeah. I buy tons of packs of everything. I mean, I bought some Pokemon today, and I just see I see what you're talking about. So I'll just flip them on eBay, but then I take those profits and go buy the single card that I can't afford normally, instead of buying a bunch of packs. So there's just so many different ways to approach everything.
Yeah, and I do think the sex appeal of the women actually drives the current product probably up in that respect. But I don't know. It's a great point. I wonder if someone who's into just football, basketball, hockey, baseball, that goes, well, shit, I gotta take care of my take care of it, man. I gotta open something, and just all of a sudden finds like a hot chick they like, and maybe becomes a fan. I don't know.
Could be, yeah. And that's another thing that's cool about wrestling that I don't see as much in sports. Like it seems like people are just kind of looking for the hot new thing in sports, but it seems like wrestling and some of the non-sports stuff, like when people get attached to somebody, they collect them forever. They just go all out. And we've seen that in sports with like Ken Griffey or
Sure.
Tony Gwynn, Michael Jordan's, the larger than life stars. So that's one thing that I've seen. There's always going to be value in these women's wrestling cards because there's not as many of them as the men's. And when people, fall in love with them, so to speak,
Sure.
they're going to collect them forever.
My whole wall. That's
Yeah,
syndrome.
exactly.
Yeah, let's not even go there. But yeah, I mean, in the non-sport world, because I was heavy into non-sports for a long time, so I had really good working relationships with Inkworks and Rittenhouse back in the day. Mostly Inkworks more than Rittenhouse. But I was that guy that would go to San Diego Comic-Con every year, and my contact was a lady named Donna, who was she was so awesome. She'd send me all the images of all the exclusive promo cards they're going to give away at Comic-Con San Diego, and she'd say, just don't list anything on eBay until 8 p.m. Wednesday night, end of preview night. But she would give me a brick or 2 bricks full of all the unopened packs of all their promos, and I'd have 100 of them up there for $5-10 a piece. I'd sell them all in the first night. Buy it now. It's like that.
Yep.
It was awesome. But non-sport stuff, it's a hit and miss. I used to be like a broker type person. It's just tell me what to buy, not to buy in non-sport. TV shows always did better than movie stuff, and not everything was a Star Wars. Hardly anybody bought Lord of the Rings when it first came out because they didn't think it was going to translate well in the trading cards. But who knew those autographs would hold value?
Right.
And then, but TV, Xena was always popular. Buffy was popular. Angel was popular. Anything pretty much that Inkworks had.
I still think that stuff like that still sells though, because there are people who watch. Yeah, there's still people who watch those growing up. So like that is their Ken Griffey Jr., whether it's a girl or a guy, and maybe it doesn't bring as much value as what you would think. But the point is, it's not 99 cents. You know what I mean? Like
but is it really holding a lot of value though? Because TV shows typically are out of sight, out of mind. When you're done, you're done, and it just seems weird.
There's some real big fandoms and really niche things.
Sure. I mean, I bought a whole one case of Xena Beauty and Brawn. It was the last non-sport case that I bought was Beauty and Brawn, and I damn near made a master set of it. I was missing one autograph, which happened to be a lower tier autograph. I pulled the 2 hardest ones, but I sold it. I made good money off of it, but it was harder for me to move it than it was anything else because by that time Xena wasn't on TV anymore.
Right.
And so it was harder for me to move it than when it was on TV. So I'm kind of surprised to hear that like Buffy stuff would still sell well because I still have a ton of like Buffy base sets. I have a bunch of Buffy promo cards, but I would think anybody who was still hardcore into it would probably already have it.
Maybe, but again, like any of those autos you're talking about, those are still going to hold
Sure.
and I'm parlaying that into the wrestling cards. Like even the most basic autograph card is still going to hold value. And then I saw somebody on Twitter, I forgot who it was, they were ripping some clearance WWE packs and they pulled a Nia Jax foiled out of 10 out of just a clearance pack. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not a super high-end card, but it's going to hold value because there's only 10 of them.
Sure.
Even in a mass-produced world.
So you play by the numbers, and I would think that sometimes too, because I actually pulled some cards. Obviously, when you get something below 99, below 100, below 50, so when you start hitting that one of 25 and 10 and 5 and 1, that's where it starts holding some of the value. Because stuff above that still doesn't sell for shit.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we all want to collect what we like.
Sure.
But I also don't want to throw my money away, so I'm not putting my money into stuff that I don't see is slowly going up. Prime example. I'm sure we're all going to agree on this. Have you guys seen the new NWA Power Indie set?
I saw it.
Okay. It's cool. They kind of look like loot cards that you get in like a monthly box.
Yeah.
They're okay, but here's the thing. Like you can buy the complete set, so 15 cards or whatever, for $15, and there's only so many of them. They're going to be a limited set for the same price that you can go buy the WWE Topps Blaster that you're probably not going to get anything out of anyway.
Sure.
And that's going back to the indie sets. Like, give me the indie sets. I'll throw my money there over Topps.
Yeah, I mentioned to I think I mentioned to you, Nick. Did I not mention to you about that? And I was like, I wasn't really bitching about it. I'm like, yeah, like $9 for shipping, really, for 13 cards. I mean, shipping cost is half that, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and that's what made me kind of hesitant not to pre-order just yet. But I have till the 16th to get that price, and so I probably will buy it and pay the $9 shipping, and end up being like a $25 set.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a couple of them because I don't think they're going to. I mean, I think they'll sell enough, but again, compare those print runs to what Topps does, and at some point, if I'll tell you what, as far as modern wrestling goes, NWA Power is my favorite show to watch because it takes me back to like '87 TBS WCW. It's like the most pro wrestling thing you can get, and I loved it. So I'm going to be picking up. I'm not the biggest fan of the cards, but it's their first product. Like I'm looking forward to whatever AEW. I know they've got trading cards supposed to be coming out according to Tony Khan.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest.
I keep poking the bear on that one. Like, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
Yeah. Keep doing it.
Yeah. And I want to know.
NWA cards is the first set they released in how many years? 30 something years.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to ask now because you seem like a young guy. Why do you like the old stuff better than the new stuff? Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was a kid in a high chair watching that stuff.
That's right. You were babysat by the Road Warriors. I forgot.
Yeah, and it's basic storytelling. It's violence, blood, emotion. I don't get any of that when I'm watching modern wrestling. A little bit of NWA, and I like a lot. The thing is, like, this isn't a modern wrestling show. I think like they have the best athletes ever right now. They have the most talent. We have the most like awesome indie promotions ever. But I'm all about story, and unless there's story and character, I can't get into it. Story, character, emotion. That's what pro wrestling is to me.
So outside WWE, do you watch any AEW?
A little bit. It's just kind of okay to me. Like there's stuff hitting here and there, like that whole deal before they launched TV with Dustin and Cody. Yeah. That's pro wrestling to me. Yeah. Like there was emotion. I was invested. I was like, I don't care what else is going on. This is what's going on right now. And I was just so hooked on it. And I don't mind some silly stuff because are you guys familiar with Memphis wrestling very much?
A little bit, yep.
Okay. I was watching some like 87 Memphis not too long ago, and they had Tony Falk on there, and he came out as Boy Tony when Boy George was huge.
Which would be controversial back then, actually.
Right, yeah. And I was like, this is hilarious. But then he got in the ring, and he like skipped around, but then he'd actually wrestle, but then he did beauty tips as kind of so it's fun, but it's not like I don't know. I don't think he won that often, so people are still beating him if you want to keep it legit, Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't mind the entertainment aspect of it, but I don't know. And then again, like no blood, no violence. I understand no chair shots to the head with CTE stuff. Sure. But from an entertainment standpoint, it's just hard to get into some of it. But I think like some of the talent and characters modern day are some of the best, and the women, going back to that, it's the best it's ever been.
Well, speaking of AEW, who would you guys like to see pick up that license? Because we don't know who's got that license.
Not Topps.
They can't. I'm sure they won't.
Oh man, I don't know.
I like Panini's designs. I don't know. Maybe
they do have good designs. I just hate them owning everything. I'm hoping. You guys, is it Jazzwares that puts out the AEW figures? Have you guys seen those?
I'm not a figure guy, so I don't know.
They did a fantastic, and they knocked it out of the park on these figures. I think they kept them limited. They're available at Walmart, wherever you want to buy them, but they're not making a ton of them. So if they could find a company that would do something like that and do it in card form, which we know they're out there, it's just who's going to do it. I think that'd be fantastic. So it's available to everybody, but it's not mass produced.
Would you think maybe a smaller print company would be a way to go with that, or
be a great opportunity for them to?
I think for us as collectors and investors of the product would be great, but I think from a mass distribution standpoint, they want to get as many of that stuff out there into people's hands as possible. So maybe an Upper Deck probably, or a Panini possibly.
Upper Deck would be a pretty solid option. They're still putting out cards that just give them. They don't have a lot of the top sports. I think they do hockey right now.
And I think that's all they do is hockey. They lost all their licenses.
So I really enjoyed, there's like that early to mid 2000s period where they were like putting out a ton of Hogan stuff that was really limited. Like I talked about last time, that PMG that was an employee exclusive.
Yeah, that's a nice card.
there's other Hogan stuff out there that's really cheap. That's like numbered from when he was doing that tour with like Ric Flair in Australia or whatever. It was a weird time period.
Sure.
But they did some pretty good cards for being wrestling, I thought. So
Okay.
why not? I think it'd be a good move.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing who might get it. I probably will be buying, a box if it comes out because it'd be something
Yeah,
new,
me
brand
too.
new company just for the hell of it. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know there's going to be any serious value in there unless you're pulling something really high end, whatever it's available. But
I think that's again, talking about wrestling fans, some of those diehard, way more diehard than sports, way more diehard than UFC, boxing,
course.
anything. Like, wrestling fans are the most diehard people. So if there's a product out there and there's a fan, there's Cody fans, Young Buck fans, FTR fans, like people love these guys. They're going to buy them.
Yep.
So I think if they can just get a good distribution and a good card company, they're going to knock it out of the park.
I think the only other fan base that is actually equally as fanatical or in a totally different genre of stuff are horror movie fans. They're equally as I've noticed doing a lot of conventions that you're going to get a lot of crossover appeal too. A lot of horror movie fans are also wrestling fans and vice versa. I mean, it's just, they are diehard. So you're right.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of Kenny Omega fans out there wanting to buy, one of those cards.
Oh, yeah.
So, but cool guys. Interesting talk about women wrestling cards. I did learn some new things. That's awesome. So cool. I'm going to me personally, I'm probably going to start investing in some of that stuff. Cause again, I don't know, 20 years on the road, maybe a Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, that's going to be like, hard to find card. I don't know, or a desirable card.
I mean, prime example, if you want to compare it, is looking at that 2002 set that we always talk about. Like, people want those big 4 cards now, and they're hard to find. I mean, weren't as mass produced as they are now, but then again, who knows where these cards are now? We know they're mass produced, but are they just sitting in people's, boxes? Are they getting thrown away even? You remember back in like the junk wax era, half that stuff got thrown away.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's like, can we just talk about, I got an episode coming up here where we talk about the 2004 Pacific set for TNA. A lot of great first-time card people in that one, too. Not a single woman one, though, in that one is going to hold any value of any kind. None. Wow. So it's just, it was crazy. So, but I think this, the AW would be pretty fun to collect, but who knows? We'll see, man. I know I'm going to go after now. But, hey, I appreciate you guys' time as usual. Love to have you guys on again, future one. You want to plug your all your social media stuff and your YouTube channel, buddy?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Thanks for having me. First of all, Zhan Mourning, you can search all social media platforms. I'm all over the place. You can follow me there. You can check out my YouTube channel, Wrestling with Cards. It's obviously wrestling card focused, but I also will delve into some other stuff. Also have like a Halloween special planned where I'm going to look at some scary sets that are non-wrestling. So just kind of all over the place, but it's all card and collectible, focused.
You should do a whole episode just on Boogeyman. Just do a whole episode on Boogeyman.
Oh, I could try. I might. That's actually a good idea. We'll see. And yeah, you just head over Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, and appreciate all the subscriptions.
Yeah, I enjoy your episodes, man. I like when you go through all your different stuff. It's cool stuff, man. But and Nick, good to actually finally meet, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only like 15, 20 minutes from me.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, so let's do it again some other time, guys.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. We'll take off.
See ya.